Hare Ram.
Hare Krishna. So we are very, very fortunate that today we are getting the divine association of His Holiness Prahladanand Swami Maharaj. So a very, very senior disciple of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. So we have a small introduction, a presentation of Maharaj. So we will just let all of you go through it. So Maharaj is Srila Prabhupada's disciple and an initiating spiritual master of Diksha Guru and GBC member in ISKCON. Maharaj is a GBC of Health and Welfare Committee in ISKCON. Maharaj born as a Philip Borman in 1949 in Buffalo, New York. And Maharaj has joined ISKCON in 1969 while studying at the University of Buffalo. And Maharaj's contributions are very much divine. So, in his early services to ISKCON, Maharaj had established temples and distributed Srila Prabhupada books. He preached at universities and served as temple president in Texas. Maharaj is a very, very authentic leader also. 1975, Maharaj joined Prahladanand preaching bus tour. So we would like to also hear some of the pastime of Radha, the first party from the lotus mouth of His Holiness Prahladanand Swami Maharaj. Then in 1982, Maharaj took sannyas, a renounced all of life, and became an initiating guru in 1986. And 1989, Maharaj joined Vaishnav Institute for Higher Education, and Maharaj's key roles and legacies. In 1990, Maharaj was appointed as head of ISKCON GBC Health and Welfare Committee. In 1991, Maharaj became head of ISKCON Sannyas Ministry and continues to travel and preach across the globe. So Maharaj sees dedication services are divine. So we would like to welcome Maharaj by loudly chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Is there some? What's the verse today?
Specific verse, yes, Maharaj, you can take. Otherwise, Maharaj, you can share some of your divine realization with all the devotees. Otherwise,
let's read a verse.
Okay.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balava Grivanadari Gopi Jana Balava Grivanadari Yasodananda Prahladanand Ranjana Yasodananda Prahladanand Ranjana Yamuna Tiha Amacharya Yamuna Tiha Amacharya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Yasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Kiha Anacharya Yamuna Kiha Anacharya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Vishapad Paramahansa Bhagavatakshaya Asadhara Sadushi Shiman His Divine Grace Shalasi Bhaktivedanta Swaraj Srila Prabhupad Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Harival glorious to the sound devotees all glorious to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Om Agana Tvanandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksuramilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vidham Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prajana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakans Vidham Cha Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Preshubhanu Siddhadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapa Tribhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranityananda Shadwaiti Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Which is the verse number? 24? 24. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 13, Descendants of Dhruva Maharaj. Everyone understands English or? Anglesi jante hai? What is it? Angresi. Hindi jante hai? So they'll understand English if I speak in English? Okay. Etad akyahi me Brahman Sunitatmaja chestitam Shradadhanaya Bhaktaya Vamparavara Viditama Etad agyaki me Brahman Sunitatmaja chetitam Shradadhanaya Bhaktaya Vamparavara Viditamaha. Go and chant. Ladies. Etat, all these. Akyaki, please describe. Me, unto me. Brahman, a great Brahmana. Sunita Atmaja, of the son of Sunita Vena. Cheshtitam, activities. Shradadhanaya, faithful. Bhaktya, unto your devotee. From you. Para avara, with past and future. Vitama, well conversant. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupad. Vidura requested Maitreya, my dear Brahmana, you are well conversant with all subjects, both past and future. Therefore, I wish to hear from you all the activities of King Vena. I am your faithful devotee, so please explain this. Please repeat. Vidura requested Maitreya, my dear Brahmana, you are well conversant with all subjects, both past and future. Therefore, I wish to hear from you all the activities of King Vena. I am your faithful devotee, so please explain this. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Vidura accepted Maitreya as his spirit. You don't have to repeat. Vidura accepted Maitreya as his spiritual master. The disciple always inquires from the spiritual master. The spiritual master answers the question, provided the disciple is very gentle and devoted. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said that by the mercy of the spiritual master, one is blessed with the mercy of the Supreme Lord. The spiritual master is not inclined to disclose all the secrets of transcendental science unless the disciple is very submissive and devoted. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, This process of receiving knowledge from the spiritual master entails submission, inquiry, and service. So the text again. Etad akyaki me brahman sunitatmaja cheshtatitam shradhanaya bhaktaya tvam parabara vititama. Vidura requested Maitreya, my dear Brahmana, you are well conversant with all subjects, both past and future. Therefore, I wish to hear from you all the activities of King Vena. I'm your faithful devotee, so please explain this. Namo Vishnu Vidaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paskadyade Siddharne. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Tadvidi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya Upadekshanti Te Jnanam Jnanenas Tattvadarshana. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that the path of spiritual realization is undoubtedly difficult. Therefore, the Lord advises us to approach a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciple succession from the Lord himself. No one can become self-realized by manufacturing his own process as the fashion of foolish pretenders. The Lord says, the actual path of religion is given by the Lord, as it says in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Therefore, one should approach the spiritual master in a line of disciple succession from the Lord himself. Such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender, and one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant without false prestige. Satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is a secret of advancement of spiritual life. Inquiries and submission constitute the proper combination for spiritual understanding. Unless there is submission and service, inquiries from the learned spiritual master will not be effective. One has to pass the test of the spiritual master. And when the spiritual master sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he will automatically bless his disciple with genuine spiritual understanding. In this verse, both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. One should not only hear it submissively, but one should also get a clear understanding through submission, service, and inquiries. The bona fide spiritual master is by nature very kind to the disciple. When the disciple is always submissive and is ready to render service, then the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries becomes perfect. So, as it says here, gentle and submissive. Or as Prabhupada writes in the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita, that one lady had asked Srila Prabhupada to recommend an edition of the Bhagavad Gita in English. But Prabhupada said that out of the 700 editions of the Bhagavad Gita in English, both in America and in India, he could not recommend any of them because none of them touched on the spirit of the Bhagavad Gita. The spirit of the Bhagavad Gita is as follows, that if one wants to take a medicine, one should take the medicine according to the direction on the label of the medicine or according to the expert physician. One cannot take the medicine simply under the directions of a friend. So, Bhagavad Gita is said by great sages, personalities such as Sankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Vishnu Swami, later on by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by Saraswati Thakur, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's what the whole Bhagavad Gita is about, that Krishna is God. And being God, it means he has all opulence. Aishvaryasya, samagrasya, viryasya, yashashasriya, jnana vairagyas, shanam, pinganaha. The definition of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is that he's the source of everything. So he's also the source of all beauty, all knowledge, all fame, all wealth, all strength, all renunciation. Now, according to Bhagavad Gita, every one of us has an eternal servant who has a relationship with Krishna, but that relationship is not covered. And therefore, our consciousness leads us to believe that we're part of the material nature, or at least our covered consciousness. Through the influence of Krishna's illusory energy, and Krishna's illusory energy is more powerful than we are. And the material world is just as powerful as Krishna is. So the fact that we're misidentified ourselves with this body, or misidentifying ourselves with this body, is not unusual because we're very tiny and Krishna's material energy is very powerful. Therefore, every one of us has a different kind of faith according to the particular modes of nature that we're situated under. Some people in the mode of ignorance, they have faith in sleeping and eating, etc., that this will make them happy. The mode of passion, we want to decorate our eating, sleeping, mating, defending, so it becomes more enjoyable. And the mode of goodness, we want to understand things more clearly so that we can get out of the miseries of material existence and understand who we actually are. In any case, Sattvam Rajas Tamahiti Guna Prakriti Sambhava Ibandanti Mahabaho Dehe Dehinam Avyam. That the material nature that we're surrounded by right now consists of the three modes: goodness, passion, ignorance. And when we've come in contact with this material nature, we become conditioned by it. Therefore, it's not unusual, the fact that we have all different types of awareness. And therefore, because we have different types of awareness, we have different types of faith. But now we're trying to develop faith in Krishna, in God. That's what the Bhagavad Gita is meant for, to help us develop not just blind following about the Krishna is God, but actual experience of Krishna. Krishna consciousness is not just a philosophy, it's a transcendental experience. And how to get that experience, that depends upon how faithful we are to begin with, how much we want that experience, and what direction we take in order to get that experience. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita is spoken in such a way is that we know what the goal is. The goal is to attain Krishna, and according to what level of experience we're presently on, what we have to do in order to gradually purify our consciousness so that we become more and more receptive to the experience of Krishna consciousness. And here it mentions two different qualities: gentleness and submissiveness. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna that right now we can't hear directly from Krishna. Although Krishna is present with us as Paramatma, but presently we don't hear Paramatma so well. What we hear is our minds. And because we're listening to our mind, and therefore the message of Bhagavatam, the message of Bhagavad Gita, is not so clear, 100% clear, what Krishna is talking about. Therefore Krishna says, Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshyo vidu sakaleni ha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. He says that in the beginning he's instructed Vivishvan, Vivishvan instructed Manu, Manu instructed Ikshvaku, and therefore this knowledge is coming into simple succession. Now all of us, to one degree or another, by the mercy of the disciple succession, we're able to remember and repeat the message of Krishna. And we may have different levels of realization, and therefore different levels of ability to actually convey Krishna's message as it actually is. But we accept the acharyas and parampara as the standard, just like Srila Prabhupada, as the founder of our society, ISKCON, we accept him as the perfect representative of Krishna, conveying the message of Krishna as Krishna desired it to be conveyed. But in order to receive it as Krishna wants us to receive it, and according to Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Evayam maya tedya yogo prokta paratana bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hitad uttama. So this knowledge is rahasyam. It's specifically made secret because we've come to the material world to forget Krishna. And Krishna doesn't want to interfere with our free will and force us to understand the secrets of Bhagavad Gita. But if we want to understand Bhagavad Gita, then we have to have two qualities. Bhakto sime sakha cheti rahasyam uttamam. Sevayam maya tedya yogo prakta paratana bhakto sime. So first is become devotee of Krishna, bhakta. Bhakto sime sakha cheti, sakha, and Krishna's friend. Or as Prabhupada writes here, gentle and submissive. I think that's the words used here, gentle and submissive. Gentle and devoted. And in the verse, Krishna says, friend and bhakto, a devotee. So devoted and friend of Krishna. Or as it says, gentle and devoted. We treat our friends nicely, we don't treat them roughly, our real friends. Therefore, devotional service should be performed with steadiness, which is devotion, and enthusiasm. Or here it says, another word, friend, or here it says, gentle. So there are many words to describe the consciousness that we have to develop, but we should understand some of the words and apply them in our devotional service. And in order to understand Bhagavad Gita, because it is not so easy to understand Bhagavad Gita under illusion, therefore, not only we have to take an example, an acharya, such as Srila Prabhupada, and through Prabhupada we can see others, because all of us, we're all hearing the message and applying it, and therefore to one degree or another we also become instruments for Prabhupada. It is not that there is one acharya and everyone else is in Maya. So by following the acharya, then we come under the divine energy, and to one extent or another, we become instruments for the divine energy. Tesham sadatam yuktanam bhajantam priti purvakam didami buddhiyogam tam yena mam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted and worshiping me with love, then I give them the intelligence by which they can come to me. So here again we have devoted and friend, or bhakto sime sakha cheti rahasyam hitad uttamam. Same thing, constantly devoted and a favorable, enthusiastic attitude. Then what happens is that dadami buddhi yogam tam. Krishna will reveal to us what this means. He reveals it within our heart, and as it says in that verse that I read, 434 in Bhagavad Gita, that one has to pass the test of the spiritual master. And when he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses the disciple with genuine spiritual understanding. In this verse, both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned, that one should not only hear submissively, but one should get a clear understanding through submission, service, and inquiry. So submission has to be there. but we also have to be inquisitive. We have to have some desire, a little desire to understand what is the truth, what is reality. Now, everyone wants to be eternal. No one wants to die. That's why whenever we see people crossing the street, generally they look both ways. Even the people who claim that they're not afraid of death, they don't walk across the street with their eyes closed. Because ultimately everyone is afraid of leaving this body. Otherwise they're a fool. And of course there are a lot of fools, but not that foolish. Because we don't know where we're going next. Those with little intelligence can see that there are 8,400,000, there's so many species of life. There are trees, there are flies, there are so many different living entities, and they seem to be conscious like we are too. If we actually admit it, we accept it, we can see that they don't want to die either. They're actually looking for the same thing we're looking for. The ant may be looking for some sugar, and Krishna is giving him more intelligence to find it than we are given as Paramatma within the heart. But at the same time, we're looking for some rascal somewhere, or some glubdaman, or some sweet. So what's the difference between ourselves and the ant? The ant's more intelligent than we are, that's all, to find sugar. But we're very proud because we're so big. Therefore, we can eat a whole glubdaman and he gets intoxicated on a little piece. That's the only difference. Therefore, everyone should be afraid of death because we're eternal. Who wants to disappear if you're eternal? But of course, according to Bhagavad Gita, we are eternal, and we can understand it through Bhagavad Gita if we use our intelligence, our spiritual intelligence. Because Krishna says everyone's body is changing, so who can deny that? Anyone here can say that their body's not changing? They have exactly the same body they had in the womb of their mother. There's no difference whatsoever. No, the body's always changing, but we've gone through so many bodies and yet we're still here. So we're eternal. Only due to the influence of illusion, we can perceive it clearly. But we can understand it because we have some intelligence, the human form of life. We have enough intelligence to perhaps accept it that we're not this body. Even Hiranyakashipu understood that, and he preached it to his relatives. A big demon like Hiranyakashipu, he understood that he's eternal. Otherwise, how could he live in his bones after his whole body had been eaten? He was eternal, but he didn't accept Paramatma. He didn't accept Krishna's directions. He didn't accept the goal of life to reach Krishna. Ite vidu swartakatim hi Vishnu darashya ye bhagya arthamanina. No, he didn't accept a place exists that's eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. He thought this world is where you get bliss and knowledge. He wanted to get a body like that of Lord Brahma and live through 311 trillion, 40 billion years. He thought that was the goal of his existence. Because he was a fool, like everyone else here. We're all fools. Otherwise, why do we come to the material world? To do the impossible, to find a permanent place full of bliss. And why do we stay here, thinking that maybe there can be here a permanent place full of bliss? Because, as Prahlad Maharaj told Hiranyakashipu, Tatsada manye suryavarya dehinam sadasamudigna diyamashatgrahat edvatma patam griham andakupam vanam gato yadari ashriyetya. Prahlad Maharaj, when he's asked by his father, what was the best thing that you've learned in school? So as Prahlad Maharaj said, my dear father, the best thing I've learned in school is that you're a number one fool. You're the best of all the fools, of course. the Asura Varyad. And why? Sadasumid Vigna Dhyama Sakrahat. Because your intelligence is so unclear that you're always full of anxiety. You're supposed to be the big controller of the universe, but you're always intoxicated because you can't tolerate all the problems that you have. So what is my advice to you, my dear father? What is the best thing I've learned? Hetvatma patam griham andakupam. Get out of this material concept of life. Griha, the first griha that we all live in, is the material body. And the concept, let me make my body stout and strong, and then I'll be happy. And then in order to protect my body, then I get a wife and children or a husband, whatever. That will protect me. Deha patya kala thradishu atma saneshva satsupi tesham pramato nidanam pashanapi napashiti. The whole struggle to eat, sleep, mate, and defend, have a good time in the material world. In order to do that, we make our bodies strong and healthy, then surround ourselves with our wife and children and home, and our dog, of course. They'll be our soldiers, protect us from the Yamadutas and everyone else. When the Yamadutas come to take me away, my wife will hit them with a club. My children will jump on them, my dog will bite them, and I'll be protected. Life will be good. No, our grandfather was taken away, our father was taken away, our mother was taken away, and we'll also be taken away. Pashana pina pashana. But they don't see because they're blind. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita gives us vision to see things properly, to see Brahman, and then to understand Paramatma. How there's a guide within our heart who's telling us how to go towards the spiritual world, or could tell us how to go to any world we want to, we become attached to, or we conceive of. Therefore, we come to the devotees, we're expected to understand how to take shelter of Paramatma, to understand our eternality, and to understand our eternal relation with Krishna. We may not know Krishna, but Bhagavad Gita shows us how Krishna has perfect knowledge. We may not see his beauty or his fame or his wealth or his renunciation or his strength, but we can experience his knowledge through hearing Bhagavad Gita. And if we follow the path given by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, he says he's going to help us as Paramatma from within, and Shiksha Guru Ke Ta Krishna Sarup Antaryami Bhakta Shesta Eduri Rup. Once you know the Shiksha Guru as a representative of Krishna, both Antaryami, the super soul within the heart, and the best of the devotees, they're representatives of Krishna. Shiksha Guru Ta Krishnara Swarup Antaryami Bhakti Shesta Eduri Rup. These are two manifestations of Krishna. Krishna's devotees from outside, and Krishna as Paramatma within the heart. But Bhakti Shesta, our standard is the best of devotees. As we accept Krishna theoretically as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as we follow his instructions, and as Krishna enlightens us from within, then we also understand that this is because of our accepting the best of the devotees as our standard to understand Krishna. Srila Prabhupad, who was actually in love with Krishna, and therefore out of love spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, and translated these books in different languages, and gave us an explanation so we can also understand Brahman, Paramatma, and ultimately develop our eternal relation with Krishna. We may not understand it all clearly, we may not fully accept or understand Srila Prabhupada, but if we are drowning in the ocean and someone throws us a rope and we feel ourselves being pulled out of the ocean, then we understand there must be a person behind the hole saving us. We may not see them clearly at first, We may not understand them clearly, but we should accept that at least this is the person's Krishna and his devotees who are bringing me out of the ocean of material existence. Therefore, we have Guru Food, we worship Srila Prabhupada, not simply out of sentiment, but because he's given us the means by which to get out of the ocean of birth and death. And if we follow it, then Krishna will help us, Srila Prabhupada will help us, the acharyas will help us, and we'll actually realize gradually who we actually are, and we'll gradually achieve the goal of life. So, Prabhupada, he didn't give us anything strange, anything esoteric. He asked us every day to chant Hare Krishna, both on beads and Mangalarti. Same thing our acharyas gave us, the powerful processes of devotional service. Chant Hare Krishna every day in a regulated way. Hear Srimad Bhagvatam, Bhagavad Gita, worship the deities, serve the devotees, and try to make the atmosphere spiritual by accepting Krishna within our heart and bringing him wherever we go. Bringing his instructions, his service, his example, wherever we go, and that will make the atmosphere spiritual. We don't have to save everyone. We have to save ourselves and then see how to become an instrument for Krishna, and he can tell us how to save others. We have no power to understand anything except the Krishna, whatever Krishna gives us. But if we want to help others, then Krishna will certainly give us that intelligence, how to express Krishna consciousness in such a way that others will understand too. And the more we do that, then the more we'll understand too. It's not that we're only going to preach to others, but we should also listen to the preaching too, so we can understand it. And then gradually we can get out of the ocean of material existence. Mamupete punarjanma dukhaliyama shasvatam napnuvanti mahatma samsadim paramangata. The great souls who are yogis in devotion, mamupete punarjanma, never take birth again. Mamupete punarjanma dukhaliyam ashasvatam. This is a world of misery. This is not the place to try to get a permanent settlement, as Prabhupada would say. Become happy here. It's not possible. Why spend eternity trying to do which is impossible? Better invest our time in something that's actually going to work. It's going to be beneficial for ourselves and others. Mamupetya punarjanma dukhaliyam ashasvatam. So we think it's possible that we can get some permanent position here, and it's going to be happy, not miserable. Mamupiti punarjanma dukhaliyam napnuvanti mahatmana. But the persons who have some intelligence or under the spiritual energy, samsiddhim paramam gata, they know what the highest destination is, and they try to obtain it. They utilize their energy for that purpose. Otherwise, Brahma bhuvana loka puna avartanojana mamupeti punarjanma mamupeti tukonteya punarjanma navidyate. From the highest planet, Brahma is in anxiety. He's 50 years old now. Half his life is gone. He only has 150 trillion, 15 billion years left to live. And he's in anxiety that he's going to die soon. And we don't care because we're going to be here for such a long time. We can do whatever we want because we're going to live here forever. That's not the way the material world works. So we should try to put things in proper perspective and understand that whether I go to Brahma Loka or down to Patala Loka, it's the same problems are going to be there. Old age, disease, and death, and taking birth in some species of life. And if we think we can become happy here, we're wrong. There is a kind of happiness here. Otherwise, why would anyone stay around here? But it's not very much. When Srila Prabhupada was coming back from his doctor's appointment in Los Angeles, then he passed by a movie theater, and the title of the movie theater was, "Is There Sex After Death?" And so when Prabhupada came back, he gave his lecture to the devotees in the Los Angeles temple, and practically everyone was going out and preaching, So Prabhupada told them, on the way back from the doctor's appointment, I passed by a movie theater and I saw the title of the movie was, Is There Sex After Death? So Prabhupada said, when you go out and preach today, you should tell people they shouldn't worry that there is sex after death in 8,400,000 species of life. So if they understand that, they won't be afraid of dying. But that's not the ultimate goal of life. It's chanchala hi manak Krishna. It is simply chanchala. It is flickering. We want real happiness, which is tipo divyam putraka shudyat tasmad brahmasokyam tvanam, which goes on and always increases. Real love, real appreciation, real something valuable, something appreciable that's going to help not only ourselves, but help everyone and ultimately make the Supreme happy too. So I'll stop there. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, you look at your good service, you perform with enthusiasm. How to increase the enthusiasm, Maharaj?
Well, the more we follow the instructions, the more Krishna is pleased. Then the more Krishna reveals himself, and in the presence of the fire, the little spark glows brighter. So the more we come in association with Krishna, following through his mercy and the mercy of his representatives, the more we accept his mercy through submission, service, and inquiry, submissive inquiry and service, the more Krishna is pleased and reveals himself, then the more our enthusiasm grows.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj, you mentioned in your talk that we should try to work for the satisfaction of our spiritual master, and that is the secret of success in spiritual life. Now, for many devotees, practically, Maharaj, we don't have access to our spiritual master directly, and maybe we haven't even received some direct instruction. So how do we know that what we are doing is satisfying our spiritual master?
Well, actually it says satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. So, Srila Prabhupada we accept as a self-realized spiritual master, and those who are following him, they also become self-realized to the extent that they're following him. Now, they become self-realized by following Prabhupada, the instructions coming in disciple succession through the acharyas. So when Prabhupada was in a morning walk with Satsrup Maharaj and Jayadvaita Swami, they asked him the same question. How do we know if the acharya is pleased, the spiritual master is pleased? So Prabhupada said, well, the GBC is there, the temple president is there, there's so many representatives. We're all, to one degree or another, representatives. So the authorities are there, and we please them, then the spiritual master, who's also one of the authorities coming from Krishna, will also be pleased, because Krishna will be pleased. It is not that the original spiritual master who's directing us is only in one person's heart. He's in all the devotees' hearts. And if they're actually authorized to give us directions in service to Krishna as Shiksha Gurus, then Paramatma will be pleased. And then Paramatma will reveal Krishna consciousness to us. So it's not so the order of the spiritual that order of the spiritual master comes down through the disciple succession. So if one gets a bona fide spiritual master and acts according to his instructions, then the success in life and Krishna consciousness is guaranteed. So there's Vani and Vapu. Even when we have Vani, we have to follow the Vapu, we still have to follow the Vani. And when we have the Vapu, we should see what the Vani is as a manifestation of the Vani. And then we follow that Vani in any circumstance. And when we follow the Vani, the instructions coming down in simple succession, and Krishna is pleased. The Acharyas are pleased. Krishna is pleased. And they enlighten us. They bring us to Krishna consciousness. So it's not a simply physical approximation. It's how much we perceive, accept, and appreciate the instructions and the examples of the Acharyas and serve them to the best of our ability.
Hare Krishna. I have a question. So sometimes we have this association of devotees and dedicated our life too much into these services. Now we have all the association of devotees. So after some time we start finding and seeing faults in devotees circle. And even sometimes it happens that Maharaj, we start appreciating people outside that, oh, they are very much moralist, they are very much caring, but devotees, they are very sensitive sometimes. And Maharaj, sometimes devotees also share that they start sometimes become very happy seeing some devotees going through some tough phases in life. They kind of say that, oh, the devotees they used to offend, that's why they are going through this tough phase. But how to be considerate in such situation where we see some devotees struggling and our heart is becoming very much happy that, oh, let's see, they were not proper in their etiquette, behavior, now see they are suffering. So Maharaj, how to maintain our function in such situations where we can actually act like a support system to the community?
A lot of questions. Well, it's not bad to see reality, but the question is what we're going to do about it. In other words, our business is Yari Deka Tari Kaha Krishna Upadesh Amara Aga Gurhana Tari Desh. Whoever we meet, what to speak of the devotees, Yari Deka Tari Kaha Krishna Upadesh. We're supposed to help them become Krishna conscious. So when we see devotees struggling, then we can learn from them. If we think that they're struggling or they're because of something they've done wrong, then we learn from them not to do that wrong thing or else we'll be in the same position. But our conclusion is we should try to help them. If we have the intelligence to help them, the ability to help them, so we can support their development of Krishna consciousness. Because after all, dasa, dasa, anudasa, our eternal position, our constitutional position is Krishna's servant. And as Krishna's servant, we're servants of all his servants. So if we want to please Krishna, then our attitude should be to what is Krishna, how can I act as an instrument for Krishna to help this devotee? So we should learn from them what not to do, so we should appreciate them. They're teaching me what not to do. Otherwise, I may have done the same thing and I may have thought I could get away with it. But then I can see I can't get away with it because they did the wrong thing and they can't get away with it. But I should help them. Try to rectify or try to minimize the suffering or whatever they're going through and help them take shelter of Krishna, even in their difficulty. Because if I don't do that, then I'll be placed in the same difficulty that they're placed in because of my neglect of service to Krishna. And I'll have to struggle and hope someone comes along to help me. But if I help them get out of their difficulty, at least try, if I can, then Krishna will help me, give me the intelligence how to get out of the difficulty, and I won't have to suffer it.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. So it's just a master class, so thank you for being here. The one question that I have is when you mentioned how to achieve the goal of life, and we know what you mentioned. The thing that struck me most was the idea of preaching, but with an active listening mode. And then I think it ties in with Radha Prabhu's question as well as, we're not compassionate to ourselves, and hence we probably not listen. I just wanted your elaboration on active listening while preaching.
Well, if we were in the spiritual world, or in pure spiritual consciousness, then we'd know it. If we were actually seeing Krishna eye to eye, face to face, if we knew our spiritual identity. As Prabhupada says in the end of the fifth text of the Nectar of Instruction, that a self-realized person, he exhibits 4 qualities. Number 1, he's assimilated all the knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita, and therefore he sees Krishna in every letter in the Bhagavad Gita. And he knows that he's experienced when he chants Hare Krishna and Krishna's present with his associates and their pastimes, everything's there. And he knows his spiritual identity. He's actually participating in his Lila, in the Lila with Krishna, eternal relationship with Krishna. And he has absolutely no other business except to spreading Krishna consciousness, to help others become Krishna conscious. So this is basically what our preaching is. And we have to learn how to, we have to assimilate the knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita. So we have to listen to the knowledge and see how it all fits together. And then Krishna gives us intelligence how to express it according to our level. We have to listen to it. Because then we have to chant Hare Krishna according to that realization in such a way is that we actually experience Krishna's presence and gradually understand our own relationship with Krishna. And become serious, ultimately, about giving Krishna consciousness to others. Because if we're eternal servants of Krishna, that's the only thing Krishna wants. He has no other business in the material world than to give Krishna consciousness to others. And the more we take that as our business, then the more we actually become Krishna's servant. So we have to listen to this knowledge, so we take it seriously. And the more seriously we take it, then the more he'll help us, the more he'll bestow all his blessings upon us. Yes.
Maharaj. Maharaj, sometimes there are experiences within the devotee community that may hurt you. Yeah, somebody says something or something happens, and it leaves you a little bit dejected, and then impacts maybe your enthusiasm to mingle with the community too much, or with certain devotees. But it leaves also like you're unsure that how to deal with this situation. And then it starts impacting bhakti. I'm talking about myself at this point.
Yeah, well, all of us are affected.
Right.
But Prahladanand said to his father, that in this world there is no enemy except the uncontrolled mind.
Mm-hmm.
So we're thinking outside there's some problem, but actually the problem is within ourselves. Now Krishna is arranging everything, so when we start criticizing outside, we're actually criticizing the arrangements Krishna made to help us become Krishna conscious. So rather than we see problems, others are acting improperly, then we should understand that it's unfortunate, but we don't have to act improperly.
Yeah.
We should act in Krishna consciousness. And if we can help them, we should try to help them, rather than criticize them. Because Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta, the business of devotee is that he should respect within the mind those who are chanting Hare Krishna, although he may not intimately associate with them. Because they're being carried away by the modes of material nature. We shouldn't become envious of them. Otherwise, we're being carried away by the same modes of material nature that they are, by being envious. So instead, we should understand that the soul is being carried away And if we can help them, we should help them. We can, at least we should respect them within our minds, because at least they're engaged in devotional service to one degree or another, and appreciate that.
Yeah.
And if they're hurting our feelings, actually it's because we don't know who we are. We're thinking that they're hurting. How can they hurt our feelings? Actually, it's ourselves which are hurting our own feelings by accepting illusion as reality. They may be criticizing our bodies or something in relation to the body, but we're not the body. So they're helping us getting rid of our false ego, because we're accepting something painful, because we're accepting the false ego. So that's an encouragement to get rid of it. So they're actually helping us make progress in devotional service. They're helping us getting rid of our false ego. They're showing us if we accept our false ego, how we have to suffer. And if we don't accept it, if we see things in Krishna consciousness, we have the proper mood, how we become liberated from our false ego. So they're good teachers for us.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Maharaj, one more question. Maharaj, as we are seeing, because of so much of technological boom, we have access to all the lectures these days, and we can just open our any YouTube channel or any social media. We can just get so much of association. And Maharaj, we also really shade. Sometimes it makes us too much connected to Krishna. Some lectures, it just penetrates us. But Maharaj, often it happens because we are not having connection with a system. No one is there to guide us or give us correction that this is. So Maharaj, how to assess our own Krishna consciousness, that are we advancing in proper direction? What is the parameter where we should see that this is my consciousness? Am I advancing in Krishna consciousness? Maharaj, what is your advice? Because Maharaj, you must have seen so much of ups and downs in so many devotees' life in Krishna consciousness. So Maharaj, please bless us with this idea that how we can assess ourselves, that are we advancing properly or not?
Whole Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, that's what it's all about. So we have to read the books. But in summary, Bhakti Pareshanu Vyaktir, Ainatratrika Ekakala, Prabhanaman Nasyanitashitastus, Tushti Pushti Shudapaya Nugasa. That bhakti has three qualities. Bhakti Pareshanu Vyaktira. So bhakti is love, awareness of how everything is related to Krishna, loving everyone and everything in relation to Krishna, awareness of how everything is related to Krishna, and detachment from those things which draw our mind away from Krishna. So just like Krishna said, it's like when you eat a meal, you experience three things: growing strength, alleviation of hunger, and satisfaction. So by properly executing devotional service, satisfaction means love, growing detachment means realizing detachment from the things that draw our mind away from Krishna, and growing strength means growing awareness of Krishna consciousness, growing spiritual intelligence. So that's what we have to see. If our spiritual intelligence is developing, our happiness in Krishna consciousness is developing, and a detachment from the things that draw our mind away from Krishna, we're becoming more detached from those things. One more question.
Yes. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you Maharaj for your session. Maharaj, I had a question, like when we hear some lectures, especially strong lectures, and we get this like, this is, we get a very strong feeling, we should give up and we should engage very seriously, and we should give up and like fully dedicate ourselves and all that kind of stuff. So but then after some time, or maybe after let's say few hours, the mind says, okay, that is good, but you cannot do that much. So it's gradual, so go gradually. Abruptly if you'll do, then you will be in problem later. So gradually, gradual development of Krishna consciousness, and then mind goes in the comfort zone. So Maharaj, how to
Well, that's not good.
overcome
That's
that?
called illusion. Yes, devotional service is gradual, but it shouldn't take forever. So gradually, if we put full effort in, then we'll get a gradual process, gradual progress. And if we put no effort in, we'll go backwards usually. So when the mind says it's a gradual process, then we should become more enthusiastic to do to the best of our ability, dedicate ourselves, and then we'll have some gradual progress. And if we don't do that, we won't have any progress. It's like you're in a current, the current, Ganges is flowing very rapidly, and you're swimming against the current. So, unless you put in full force, you're going to drown. You say, well, it's a gradual process, swimming up the river. No, you have to put full effort, and then you might be able to make it. If you don't, you'll just get swept away. The material nature is not so simple to overcome. And we require, even gradually, it's not so simple to overcome. It's an ocean. So we have to put in full effort, and then gradually we'll understand. Krishna will reveal things to us, and things will become more simple.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Anything else? Yes, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj ji. Okay.
Speaking to the microphone.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Speaking to the microphone, please.
Yeah.
Mike, there you go.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. My question is, while we are growing spiritually, sometimes something happens that all our chanting, it's just gone. I mean, the hearing and the association. Sometimes in life, something happens, the negative. And I mean, that time we have to run to Krishna, but we are doing in opposite directions. I mean, the tamasic gun, it suddenly increases, and our
Please speak closer to the microphone. The microphone won't hurt if you get.
Okay. Should I repeat it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But please put the microphone near you.
Yeah.
Then it'll be louder.
Sure.
This.
Yeah. My question was, sometimes we are like in spiritual life, we are growing, okay? Everything is going good, but something happens in our life and all our spiritual growing is just coming down. The negativity goes so high, the tamasic gun in our mind, that we leave everything. And after some time, we realize that the growth we were going on, it's just zero. How to make peace?
Well, we should understand, as it says, one should be able to pass the test of the spiritual master.
Yeah.
And when the spiritual master sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses the disciple with genuine spiritual understanding. So this idea that spiritual life is supposed to be smooth and sailing, and we'll never go back to Godhead that way. Unless there's tests, then we don't put any effort in. And there's no effort, there's no advancement. Just like Queen Kunti, she says about all the problems she had and her family had. Ishan Mahagne Purushara Darshanam Asabya Vanavikrishata. That Bhima was fed poison. When's the last time any of us were fed poison? Then we put into a house and it was set on fire. Have you ever been in a house and someone set it on fire? It would be a problem, wouldn't it? Then they went out to the forest and someone tried to eat them. One problem after another. And then she prayed, Vipadak Shanti Takshasrat Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru Bhavatad Darshanam Nasyat Apuna Bhavadarshana. She was praying to see these problems again and again. Because she had become accustomed when these problems came up, she took shelter of Krishna. And then by taking shelter of Krishna, she understood she wouldn't see repeated birth and death again. And therefore she was interested that problems would come so she could take shelter of Krishna. But we're much more fortunate that Queen Kunti, she had to pray for problems. But we don't have to pray for problems in Kali Yuga. They just come one after another.
But Maharaj, we as humans, right? Whenever some problem is coming in our life, so we basically, by words, we are saying that Krishna will take care of it. But by mind and by heart, there's something that says that we should do something to resolve all the problems, right?
First thing we should do is find out what Krishna wants us to do. Otherwise, we're just like Arjuna. Dear Krishna, there's a problem. I don't want to deal with it. You deal with it. Here, you take up the bow and arrow. I'll see the rerun on television. No, Krishna told him what he wanted him to do. And that's how Krishna solves the problem, by telling him what to do.
Thank you for the great advice. Thank you, sir.
There's one lady back there.
Hare Krishna. My question is, when we are reading scriptures, Gita, when we are listening to sermons or lectures, we are very much there. We are talking about God, we are talking about Krishna. But when we go back outside or to our offices or our works, we are back into that life. So there's very little time when we are actually talking about Krishna. So how do, when we are working and when doing all our worldly works, how do we bring our consciousness back more towards Krishna in our works also?
Well, devotional service begins where the concentration on Krishna is during our sadhana. So we have to have a good sadhana. Get up early enough so we can have a program where we worship the deities and hear Srimad Bhagvatam and chant Hare Krishna. Let's try to serve devotees. Even if we have a husband, we chant together. The family chants together, hears together. And we should try to put Krishna in our heart and follow Krishna's instructions in such a way as we naturally remember him and therefore make our atmosphere spiritual. So we have that at sadhana bhakti. And from that influence will gradually grow until it affect the other areas of our life. So that may take some time. But if we want to make quicker progress, then the brahmacharis, they have their program in the morning, and then they go out and preach. The householders, they have their program in the morning. They go out and they do their work, and they give some percentage of it to spread Krishna consciousness, and some percentage of it to maintain their family in Krishna consciousness. And then that influence in their lives of Krishna consciousness will develop in those areas too. Thank you very much. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupad ki jai. Gaur Premanand.
His Holiness Prahladanand Maharaj ki jai. So we are extremely grateful to Maharaj for giving his divine association. So we will request on behalf of all Gurugram community that Maharaj will please keep on blessing us. At least you'll come once in a year, Maharaj, and stay in the temple for 2-3 days and give us some nourishment, Maharaj. Otherwise, we don't have any hope in advancing Krishna consciousness. Just by seeing you, hearing you, we will able to understand that the kind of appreciation you have for Srila Prabhupada purport is divine, and we really felt very much blessed, Maharaj, that you came here and gave us your divine association. So with the bottom of our heart, we would like to express our gratitude to Maharaj by loudly chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you so much, Maharaj. So, Maharaj, and we are celebrating Chaitanya Charitamrita marathon. So it's CC marathon. So if any devotee wants to take Chaitanya Charitamrita, we'll request Maharaj to please give it to the devotees. So if anyone is interested, they can come and take their Chaitanya Charitamrita set. Hare Krishna.
उसको बंद करो।